Good morning and welcome to Ag Talking Raw, where I talk raw about agriculture and other things that are on my mind. Well, today I'm going to be a little bit quiet because it's pretty early. It's not really super early, but it's early enough that Teresa and William are still asleep. So, I've said this before in the past, and this is like my political minute. So if you're not into the politics side of this, then you can just chive right off right now. Just walk away, hit the stop button, and go do whatever it is you got to do that's more important than me talking about American politics. Yes, I slurp my coffee in the morning so that I can belch the whole video. Anyway, so here it is. I'm in my underwear. This is the only thing I've got on, really, is this t-shirt and my underwear. So anybody that was wondering if I got fully dressed to do this, I did not. Not that anybody cares, or neither do I, for that matter. I wear boxer briefs, so, if you're wondering that, I'm not going to stand up and scare little children from around the world. That monster can get you. Actually, probably impress some women, but I know. Anyway, that's just the way it is. I'm just joking. No, but I really, seriously, I'm in my underwear. So anyways, political minutes. Sometimes that's all it warrants is a man in his underwear who got up early enough to do this video so that the world could see it. So what I've said in the past many, many times is that this country is so split and so divided that I don't know that there is a repair for it. Democrats, Republicans at one another's throats. One administration will say, hey, this is what we have to do, and then they lose the White House, and the president or the incoming president says, hey, you're right, this is what we have to do, and the next thing, no, we can't do that, it's against the rules. We can't do that. We're not going to do that. We're not going to help you do that. It's like, okay, so here we've got this gigantic second grade class now that, when the more popular kids are like, hey, we've got an idea, we're going to color outside the lines and then cut the picture out and then see what the pretty colors look like. When the not so, and the not so popular kids, come up with the same idea, that's stupid. Have you ever been to one of those classes? Because I do have an incredible memory of my childhood. I mean, I can remember shit that, none of my fellow students remember or vaguely remember. My peers, my fellow peers, I'm terrible with names, though. I mean, don't ask me names, but, God, what the heck was it? Well, there was a girl, one girl's name was Jen, the other girl's name was Nicole, and we were in kindergarten, and I'll never forget these two girls talking, we're so smart that we should just move up to third grade. Jen Ryan was the one, and Nicole, Christ, she lived up here in Baptist-town. Tomboy, real tomboy. When she got to high school, she was just this gorgeous girl. And, just the way it is. Everybody treated her like their brother instead of this beautiful girl that, could get your rocks off. But anyway, I don't know whatever happened to her. There was a Noelle and Nicole. Noelle Skrzynski and Nicole, it was a very similar last name. It was a Polish last name, I believe. But anyway, whatever. Very pretty girl. So I remember that thinking, well, I'm not that smart. I was like, I'm not that smart. So where I'm going with this is for the last 2.5 years or 2 years, 2.5 years? 2.5 years of the President Donald J. Trump's presidency, he's been screaming about this immigration. Build the wall, build the wall. Well, build the wall really didn't ramp up until about, I don't know, last November. I mean, really ramp up. I mean, he has talked about it. He talked about it. It was a big campaign promise of his, and he talked about it a lot. Well, of course, the Dems and the Democrat held, I'm not going to call them Democratic because they're not Democratic. They're Democrat or Demorat, if I want to be offensive. But these Democrat-held cities, the sanctuary cities, they're like, oh, we welcome all illegal immigrants with open arms. Come to our cities. Come to our cities. Now, I know there's a lot of guys that are probably just listening to this as they're planting corn, chisel plowing, disking, moldboard plowing. If you're still doing that, I have 2 moldboard plows. They will probably rust away there. Unless you're in Europe, then they rely heavily on those. Excuse me. So maybe you didn't hear what the president did yesterday. So build the wall, build the wall. Been huge opposition against the wall. Just, we're not building the wall. Forget it. There's no crisis. There's no problem. There's no issue. And then, a couple, 3 months ago, can you believe how Donald Trump's presidency is housing illegal immigrants as they come across the border? Well, when you tell people that we're going to have an open arms policy, you can come into our sanctuary city without fear of deportation, and you have a governor or a mayor of a town, I think it was a mayor of a town, governor is a state, but mayor of a town say, on television, I warned the illegals that ICE was coming for a raid, and they fled. They took off. They got away from them, thankfully, before ICE could get here. So that becomes very frustrating for an administration or even anyone that's, like me, that feels that you should come in legally into this country. My relatives did. If you go way back, my relative on my grandmother's side, Grandmother Pandy, she was actually a weaver. She was descendants of the Haneys. And if I've got it correctly, my relative way back before the revolution, he came in as an indentured servant. I'm almost certain of that. It was told to me that way, but an indentured servant. So an indentured servant, if you don't know what an indentured servant is someone who either has a debt in their home country, and in order to pay that debt, they become a slave to the person that they owe the money to, or they use their indentured servitude to get here. So you go to a wealthy family and say, hey, listen, I want to go to the New World. It wasn't the United States at the time. I want to go to the New World. So can you pay my way? It was probably like $23. Can you pay my way? And in exchange for, you paying my way, I will work for you for free for the next 5 years, or however long it is. A lot of those indentured servants, they came here, they worked, and never really got off. And that didn't matter what color your skin was. Obviously, I'm white. Now, when politicians talk about slaves, they generally only talk about our dark-skinned brothers, the black community here who were captured in Africa and put on slave ships, and the survivors were sold at auction. The dead were just dumped in the ocean as fish food. So not only was there black slavery in the United States or even anywhere in the world, there was also white slavery, which still goes on today. Being married to a Filipina, you kind of get an inside look into how indentured servitude is still at play. It's not a violent, in most cases, indentured servitude, but it's still indentured servants. It's still indentured servitude. So, anyway, I wish the politicians would talk about indentured slaves, because I have a relative that was an indentured slave just to get here for many years, and that's just the way it is. Do I hold any animosity towards the people, the family that held my relative as an indentured slave for more than his share of time? I mean, literally, I'm telling you, it's like $23 to cross the ocean. That's it. I mean, I got that in my back pocket. I gave it to him and said, have a nice day when you get there. Actually, I'd probably ask him where he's going, and he'd probably said, well, I want to go to New York, and, I'd just tell him to kiss the Big Apple for me, whatever, for $23. But that's not the way it was back then. So anyway, I'm not off topic. I'm actually on topic. So there are many ways to come to the United States. Now, when you have these people that say, "Hey, come to the United States, you'll get a free place to stay in our city, and they can't deport you." Well, what that does is that gets put on national news down in Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, and all these places where these people feel that they need asylum from their tyrannical government, which sometimes I feel that about my own country, especially when you look at Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, and Miss Feinstein. Or Ocasio-Cortez, that psycho, or this Elon, Elon, whatever the hell her name is, Omar. Now that woman is a great advocate for the Muslim invasion that we're dealing with right now, and they are also coming across the north and the south border. They're ignoring the northern border, and I think they should stop ignoring the northern border. I think they really need to take a good hard look at it. Trudeau is an idiot. I'm sorry if you're from Canada and you disagree with me, but Trudeau, he's an idiot. Anything that I see of that man, I feel like he is really doing more damage to Canada and the United States than the Democrats feel that the Donald Trump is. I mean, when you bring in refugees from Syria who destroyed Germany, and they did because they're stupid. Trudeau's stupid. Dump them into a border town or a lakeside town where they built all this housing for them, and then wonder where they went one cold evening. Where did they go one cold evening when the lake was froze over? Do you think they really want to be in Canada? I mean, not that Canada's bad, believe me. I think Canada's a beautiful country, and it has a lot to offer. It just doesn't have that just doesn't offer as much as what the United States offers. It just doesn't. So, anyways, with that being said, so Donald Trump's been standing on his podium. We got to build the wall, build the wall, build the wall. I agree, we got to build the wall. So the Democrats, they say, no, we're not going to build the wall. You can't build the wall. There's no crisis. Well, yesterday. So, and this is just an amazing thing, because I watched a lot of videos from just a few short years ago, and my short years ago, starting with the Clinton administration, Ronald Reagan, he did what he did, but there was still decent legal immigration. They would come in, they would work, they would take their money and go back to Mexico, back to Honduras, back to Guatemala, because the government's down there, and the way it was down there was better than it is today. So they could do this stuff. Well, when Bill Clinton comes into office, he made it very difficult for them to come and be migrant workers. I remember watching Dateline. I'm sure it was Dateline, or maybe it was Hard Copy. It was a television show back then on illegal immigration. 60 Minutes did a lot of work with the migrant worker. There, I did that without slurping for you. On the migrant worker, and how it was, these people were coming here to work, bringing their whole families to work on the farms, and, so they could bring money home, and then they would live the rest of their year in their house. And one story stuck in my mind for the last 30 years, and that is a family that came out of Mexico. They had like 7 kids. They had a van. They worked on farms, and they migrated around the United States. They had a visa that they really wanted to, get as much money together. All the kids worked. Mom, Dad, and the kids worked. And there were older kids right down to, 10-year-olds. I think maybe younger than that. And they all had something to do. They lived in the van. They drove around the country. They got legal work, and then they went back to Mexico. So they had all kinds of trouble and strife. I mean, from getting fired because the youngest kid couldn't pick enough strawberries to the van transmission breaking down, and they had to change it alongside the road from a junkyard, and it took most of their money because at that time a transmission wasn't $400. It was, like $2,000, and they were very expensive. It was an old hodgepodge Dodge, and they got it back together. They got it going. They get all this together. They work. They get enough money just as their visa is expiring, and they go home to Mexico, and someone had broken into their home and trashed it, totally trashed it. And you feel bad. I felt bad. And like I said, I remember this from like 30 years ago. But they were willing to come back the next year. I say they should have left somebody home to watch the casa. But, I don't know what happened after that. Excuse me. Because I never saw a follow-up the next year, or, if there was bleeding heart liberals that donated millions of dollars to that family so that they didn't have to travel around the U.S. But anyways, Mr. Bill Clinton, he turns around and he makes it very, very difficult for migrant workers to come in, work, and go home. At that time, you could cross the border fairly easily. I mean, you went through immigration, and you asked them, you got to know your guys, as you crossed their border crossing people. It's like, hey, Bill, hey, Jose, come on in, I'll see you at 5 o'clock, and they'd come in, they'd work, they'd go back to Mexico. So you had these migrant workers that came in, and it was so difficult, they decided, you know what, it's so hard to do this, to come and work. I'm just going to come and I'm going to stay. I'll be illegal, and I'll work and I'll build a business myself and I'll do lawn maintenance, Everybody does lawn maintenance if you got brown skin here in this part of the world. So they block the wall. Donald Trump wins, I guess. The wall is getting built. The Dems are all pissed off, and now they're back on this handling of separating of families down at the border. They're blaming Donald Trump. Some of these policies were implemented during Clinton. Some of these policies were implemented during Obama. And I'm sure some of the policies were implemented during Mr. Bush's time in office. I don't know. I only hear about Obama, Clinton, and I don't know. When Bush was going to add on to the wall, he was going to make a 10-foot wall, and the joke was the Mexicans will come with an 11-foot ladder. That's true. A 10-foot wall is nothing. I mean, you could scale that. You could jump over it and barely twist your ankle if you fell funny. So, yeah, I'd say a 30-foot wall would do it. You're going to get hurt. You're not going to want to do that. But anyway, so they're blaming Donald Trump for the way these immigrants are, these illegals. I can't call them immigrants. They're illegals. They are border crossing. They're crossing the border in force. They're actually an army, if you ask me, any more than, a division of people. They're coming in. You don't know who they are. You cannot vet them properly. You can't house them the way everybody would like them to be housed, like a beachfront property down next to Nancy Pelosi's place. That would be great. So Donald's like, listen, this isn't my fault. I didn't implement these things. I can change it, but it takes time and an act of Congress. So he does what he does. Give me the wall, and I'll, and we'll do something about the conditions. They refuse. So yesterday, Donald Trump comes out and he's like, you know what? We can fix this problem. You want them, you can have them. We'll bus them to your sanctuary city. Well, okay. Right? My arms are open. Yay, I'm going to get all the illegal aliens that are crossing the border. Come to my city. No, we got this. Whoa, you can't do that. That's illegal. And our city is not a dump. Whoa. Now, not 48 hours ago, they're all saying, come to our city. You'll make it stronger, better, more beautiful. MS-13, you're our friend. Come, you lazy bum. You didn't have anything in Guatemala, but you do have something here. Come live. So Donald Trump stands up and says, I'm going to just bus them to these sanctuary cities, and you can take care of them. You house them. You put them in better housing. You vet them. You do all this stuff. And they went ballistic. They just short of called them trash that doesn't belong in their sanctuary city. So, okay, what message does this send the people who viewed the Democrats as their saviors, their heroes, their heroes, because they're willing to come, they're willing to cross the Mexico. Mexico's willing to let them cross. As a matter of fact, Mexico's willing to bust them from their southern border to their northern border so that they don't have to deal with them trashing their towns. To come here because Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, Feinstein, and a bitch ton of other Democrat heads have said you'll have a safe place in our towns and our cities that we deem sanctuary cities. ICE won't come, and if they do come, we're going to warn you so you can flee. But now, after yesterday's press conference, they're like, no way, you can't do that. That's illegal. We don't want that trash, that garbage you're going to dump on our beautiful streets, our beautiful towns. Could you imagine being Jose the Guatemalan who just walked 1,500 miles with his beleaguered mother, and she's toting an 18-month-old kid on her shoulders because, she can't afford to ride across. Probably been raped 16 times by the lovely people that showed up, to walk with her, Hey, I hear she likes to fuck. And then they take her in the bushes, rape her some more, and take them on their way. Because, I've heard this. I've watched it on TV. It's come right from the illegal immigrants' mouths. Yeah, my family saved money to buy me birth control so that if I was, assaulted on the trail up here, that I wouldn't become pregnant. Well, that's a nice thing, isn't it? Usually, if you go on a trip, your family member will buy a neck pillow, or maybe they'll give you a few extra dollars and say spit in the Pacific, or spit in the Sulu Sea, or spit in the South China Sea, or enjoy Australia, Auckland, Queensland, enjoy something. Not, oh yeah, my mom and dad, they bought me birth control so I didn't get pregnant when I got raped repetitively by this gang known as MS-13. But don't tell anybody because, we're all in this together and we really want to look good so we can get across the border. That's pretty fucked up. So those people, now their heroes are saying that you can't dump those people on us. You can't dump that in our town, our city. What is this? This is illegal. You can't do it. Well, no fucking shit, it's illegal, you retards. No offense to if you've got Down syndrome or any other birth defect that leaves you mentally incapacitated or short of, I would hate to say normal. I'm probably going to get a baseball bat to the head from 9,000 people saying that I use the term retard in a derogatory manner. But it's true. Retard means slow. These people are slow. They're slow on the uptake. They're slow on the outtake. They're just slow. They are genuinely retarded. Not Down syndrome, just plain retarded. But if you're Down syndrome or mentally retarded, mentally slow, the Democrats, they have no love for you either. So you should be up at arms. And the reason I say they have no love for you either, because if you take a your mom and dad have that amniocentesis taken and they deem you Down syndrome or some other birth defect, they can let you grow until you're coming out the vagina and then kill you. Yeah. And that's at the discretion of the parents, which is being pushed by the Democrat Party. That's kind of fucked up. When I was a kid, young, having sex underage, and worried about getting my girlfriend pregnant, which I did. I worried. I didn't get her pregnant, but I worried about that sort of stuff. Abortion was on the table. It really was, and I'm being 100% honest here. Abortion was on the table. If she got pregnant, well, hell, she's just going to have an abortion. Now that I'm a 46-year-old man, I'm sorry. My view has changed dramatically. There's only a few situations where an abortion would be somewhat acceptable. I mean, totally acceptable in a rape situation. Somewhat acceptable if you are an absolute drug whore and you just fuck for money so that you can buy more drugs, and But I think you should be fixed after this, though. I mean, if you're raped, no, you don't want to be fixed. You need counseling. If you are a drug whore or someone that just likes to fuck a lot and get pregnant and have babies, or have abortions as birth control. And I knew somebody like this when I was in high school, and I thought it was a little bit weird that that was her option. She had like 6 abortions. She says, I just don't like the feel of a condom. And, oh, yeah, she told me this stuff. I think she wanted to fuck me. But that didn't happen. Because it was like, you know what? It'd be like throwing a hot dog down the Holland Tunnel. That's about what that would be. Like, that girl had been with more people than the Holland Tunnel sees on a daily basis. So, yeah. So just walk up to the Holland Tunnel and wing a hot dog in there, and I'm pretty sure that's about what that would have felt like. Sorry if I'm offending you. Not really. I don't give a shit. I'm old. I don't care. So Donald Trump says, yeah, we're going to dump these on there. They're all flipping out. And these poor people that have traveled so far on the backs of pickup trucks, on the Shoe Leather Express, and all this other, all these other forms of transportation and ways to get to the United States have just been kicked in the balls, and because they're now being referred to as trash. Maybe it'll slow it down. So now the power is like shifting. Maybe not. This is just my opinion. I think Donald Trump's a pretty smart guy. Some people call him a blithering idiot, but they also called George Bush a blithering idiot. I don't find that he was a blithering idiot. I think he had bad information, and he didn't read a teleprompter very well, but he was a very intelligent guy. And I'd actually like to meet George Bush myself personally. I would like to meet him just because senior's dead. But Junior, I think he's a really cool dude. He's just, I don't know, I just always felt that. If I ever met Obama, I would turn and walk away. There's just no need for me to shake that man's hand, because I think he did more to destroy the country and divide us racially, if you want to use the term race. I mean, we are one race, the human race. We just have different skin tones, and cultural differences. Now, that's more acceptable to me. If we had culturalism, anti-culturalism maybe, you could say that. I would agree to that term, but race, no. We all have 2 arms, 2 legs, male or female. There is no third gender. I'm sorry for all you that think there is. There's no third gender. You can still be, you can dress like a woman, you're still a man. You can have a sex change, you're still a man. Doesn't matter. Whatever that piece of paper says, you were born, you are what you are. If you got a little dangler there, you're a man or a boy. If you've got, the other, then you're a girl. Now, there are, what would you call them, hermaphrodites or free martins, you would say, where they're born with both parts. Now, that, I don't know what that is, It depends on when they grow up, how they would, their body would portray itself. You could have both parts, both a vagina and a penis, and, the whole deal. Both, and that does happen. I'm sure it's, not talked about, but it does happen. And they grow up. Now, years ago, it was the parents' choice to, well, do you want a boy or do you want a girl? Because we can snip, so, and fix this problem. Well, they got it wrong most of the time. Like, little Johnny wants to play with Barbies, not G.I. Joes, but little Johnny is a girl, or a boy. Little Johnny was born with both, but we chose him to be a boy, or we chose her to be a girl, and that's not what the chemical makeup in their mind was. That's not what their hormones said. So I think that practice is pretty much stopped by now, and they decided, hey, we're just going to go ahead and do, let them age, get to puberty, and we'll find out what they are. Maybe they don't, maybe they play with Barbies, but when they get to that teen years and they're like, hey, I really like Jenny's ass. That's nice, I mean, I never played with Barbies or anything. I never played with dolls. And when I was a kid, we had action figures, and I was from the farm. I played with tractors, pickup trucks. I played with lawnmowers that were broken, and me and my uncle fixed them, and we raced them around the yard. I did that sort of stuff when I was a kid. But I was a bad boy in Kingwood, so they shipped me off to a school up here. It was called Round Valley Elementary or middle school, and that's where I went to school. When I got there, I met new people, and I was like, these are city kids. They may live in the country, but they're not country kids. They're city kids. And I remember teaching a kid who lived in the woods how to build forts, how to make a bow, how to do these simple things that I had learned years and years before. I mean, I'm in 6th, 7th, 8th grade, and this kid had never even wandered into the woods. It was amazing. I'm like, geez, we dug it out. We got shovels and shit, and we dug this thing out. We made up a log cabin with a roof and everything, with even a door, in a matter of a day. And he was like, wow, this is the coolest thing. Where'd you learn to do this? Well, I'm a boy. What have you been doing? Oh, I've got action figures. Oh, my God. I've never owned an action figure in my life. It's just another name for a doll. That's all. It's the name for a doll that boys play with. Well, okay. My sisters had Barbie. And that was before they had painted underwear on them. I used to rip their clothes off. I wanted to see what kind of stuff she had under there. That's because I guess I'm a little pervert. I don't know. But anyway, whatever. So, yeah. So what do you do? What does the president do that, solves these problems? It doesn't matter whether he's here on the podium saying, we need a wall, to, okay, we're not going to build a wall. Well, they're still going to build a wall. You don't like the way they're housed? We're going to take them to your city and you do it right. And it's like opposition at every single thing he says. He says, I use Charmin toilet paper. Charmin's garbage. You need to use Markel. Like, really? And then you'll get another one like, Maxine Waters. Oh, I can't believe they use toilet paper. Or Ocasio-Cortez. My boyfriend wipes my ass with water. Oh, my God. It doesn't matter, whatever he says. If he stood up there after Ocasio-Cortez says, my boyfriend wipes my ass with water. If he says, you know what, that's a better idea. I think I'll do that. You can't do that. That's mine. Fuck these people. I swear to God, it doesn't matter. And I'm watching this. This is when I was a kid in 3rd grade for the second time, because, I was busy making forts and building lawnmowers and shit. I didn't like school. School was a waste of my time as far as I was concerned. When I was in 3rd grade for the second time with all my other loser friends that were doing the same shit that I was doing, yeah. I forgot. I lost my train of thought. I guess I should have stayed in school, but I did stay in school. I actually made it through high school. God, what the hell was I going to say about that? It doesn't matter, I guess. I need more coffee. Damn, I'm almost going to have to rewind that because I totally just poof right at the side of my head. I very rarely do that. I usually am right spot on. Damn. So... Damn, I can't believe that. But anyway, yeah, I guess maybe I should end it now. I haven't talked any agriculture really other than, migrant workers and things like that. But, yeah. It wasn't action figures, was it? Whatever. I guess I could edit this. I could edit this part. I can pull it in, put it into my video editor there and do that, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to leave it ag talking to raw because that's what it is. When I do these videos, I don't edit them. I don't edit them at all. So, but anyway, yeah, I guess I'm going to end it here. 34 minutes of me blabbering on about Donald Trump and wiping their ass with water and all that stuff. Yeah, they just don't get it. They just don't get it. When I was in 3rd grade with all the others, got it. It came back. See, it's like a boomerang. It just whacked me in the back of the head. I went to the circus, a 3-ring circus. Okay, so you have the choice of 1, 2, or a 3-ring circus. You got a choice to sit in front of the one in the middle, the right or the left, however you want to do it. I chose to sit in the middle. Why did I choose to sit in the middle, you may ask? No, not really. You probably don't ask. You probably know the answer to this. Because that is the best vantage point to see the right, the left, and the center. And I've always kind of done that, It's like, okay, I'm in the center. Yeah, I see the right over here. You guys kind of making some sense. I look over to the left. What the fuck are they doing over there? That's what this political theater is, or this circus is. So here I am in the center. I don't like everything the right's doing. I do not like anything that the left is doing. I swear, there is nothing that they're doing over there that interests me at all. But in the middle, they're going around in circles with somewhat of comical sense. Like, oh, wow, look at the elephant. He just stomped on the little guy. Oh, no, that's all part of the show. He's fine. He's like holding up the elephant's leg, shit like that. So you watch this thing from the middle and you look to the right. Yeah, that's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. And you look to the left and you're like, those blithering idiots, they can't figure anything out. They can't come together in the middle because the middle's doing its own thing. But, yeah. So what do you do with that? When one side says one thing today, then 2 days later they're on the podium yelling, "You're dumping, you're destroying our towns and our cities." You just can't do anything about it. And the president has proven this many, many times in the last 2 years, and he's right. He's a pretty smart guy, and he's right. He tests the waters where no one else was ever willing to test the waters. Like, really tests the waters. He's like, oh, they don't want to do this? Let's give them what they want. Let's see what happens. Or let's suggest we give them what they want and see what happens. And he's done this on several occasions, and it's like, whoa, you can't do that. Even though, you're right, he can't do it. It is illegal. You can't just federally bus illegal, unvetted immigrants into your city. But if they show up there on their own, that like they got through the fencing, they got through the immigration, which has been defunded many times over. Oh, and the president actually gave a portion of his salary to the Homeland Security and the Border Patrol. So, you know what? Now there's a president. He took his salary and donated it to those entities, which goes into general funds for them, their general funds or their slush funds, and maybe they can hire a new guy or two on that money that he's putting out there. Maybe get some better equipment, a couple new trucks, and a machine gun or two. They're pretty cheap. But anyway, I guess I'm done yammering. Thanks for watching. Political Minute doesn't happen too often. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm burping, farting, and doing everything else because I slurp my coffee to annoy people. That's my job. I'm here to do that, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.